Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you are fine and you have to be. Please take all the precautions when you step out of the house because we all know situation is very worse. You have to take care of yourself and your family. So in today's video I am gonna talk all about coronavirus. Especially I am gonna talk about the life cycle of coronavirus, and later on in my coming videos we can discuss in detail about the treatment and how it can be diagnosed using different test procedures. Right now let's discuss more about this coronavirus, mode of transmission, symptoms and the life cycle of this virus. SARS-CoV-2. SARS stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome and CoV-2 stands for Coronavirus 2. And we are saying that it is severe acute respiratory syndrome. So this disease is mainly associated with respiratory illness and the most affected organ is lungs, right? So that's why we are calling it as a respiratory syndrome. US National Institute of Health described that SARS-CoV-2 is the successor to SARS-CoV-1 that caused SARS outbreak in the year 2002 to 2004. So that is the reason it was given with the name SARS-CoV-2. And moreover, it is having a similarity with the SARS. And mostly the pathogenesis and the life cycle is almost quite similar with the SARS. That stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. And it is believed that it have a zoonotic origin. Zoonotic in the sense, if a disease that spreads from the animals to the human beings, we call it as a zoonotic origin, right? So it is, this coronavirus is also believed to have a zoonotic origin and it have a genetic stability with the bat coronavirus, suggesting that it emerged from a bat-borne virus. And this coronavirus is contagious. That means it spreads from one person to the other person. The person who is in close contact with the infected person will acquire this viral infection through droplet nuclei or through aerosols. Whenever the infected person who is in close contact with the other healthy person while talking or while coughing and sneezing, he is able to transmit the virus to the other healthy person. And he should be in the range of 6 feet, that is around 1.8 meters. If a person is standing far away from the infected person, the chances of infection is very less. So we are saying that this infection is contagious and it will spread to the other healthy person who is in close contact with the infected person. That is, when the person coughs or sneezes, this virus will spread through the droplet nuclei or through the aerosols, right? And of course, this viral infection will be transmitted to the other person through indirect contact also. That means when an infected person coughs or sneezes, so those droplet nuclei which fall onto the surfaces nearby where the virus will still survive on those objects for quite some time. If any person touch that object or a surface and without proper washing of hands, if he touch his face, like all the mucosal areas like eyes, nose and mouth, if he touch with those hands, there is a chance of acquiring the infection. So we call it as a T-junction. So from eyes to mouth. See, always you have to wash the hands properly because this virus can be easily killed with the soap solutions, or you have to use some disinfectants. Like you can use sanitizers to rub your hands and make them sterile. Make sure you wash your hands properly and wear mask properly when you step out of the house. If you touch any object or if you are in contact with that infected person, the chances of acquiring the infection are more. Once the virus enters into the body, initially the infection will be in the nasal cavity, and from there it will spread to the lungs. After the entry of virus into the host cell, virus will replicate rapidly and the progeny will be released, and each viral particle that is released out from the host cell is ready to infect another new cell. In this way, the infection will progress, affecting all the organs of the body, leading to the death of a patient. Once you identify the symptoms, without any delay go for testing, and once you are confirmed to be positive with the lab test, you have to start the medication under the supervision of a physician. There is no specific treatment for this virus, but still following certain precautions and taking good diet, you can get rid of this infection soon. And as a part of the treatment, doctors were prescribing medicines to block the replication process. You all know what happens in the process of replication. So the single organism, when it undergo the replication, it will give rise to the more number of progeny. And here in case of coronavirus, some researchers were telling that to initiate the infection, at least there should be 1000 virion particles. And that is the reason even some of the persons who are asymptomatic, that means they don't express any symptoms of fever, cough or sneezing, and there is a less chance of transmitting the infection to the another person in case of the asymptomatic people. But in case of the symptomatic people, during the coughing and sneezing, they are spreading the virus, and the person who comes in contact with this droplet nuclei will acquire the virus. And once the virus gains entry into the human body, it will undergo the replication, giving rise to the more viral progeny. And remember, this virus have positive sense RNA as a genetic material. We all know that there are many number of microorganisms that could be bacteria, fungi, virus, whatever it could be. And not all the microorganisms are harmful. There are certain microorganisms which are beneficial, but we call certain group of microorganisms as pathogenic because they have an ability to cause infection when they enter into a human body. Not only the human body, there are microbes which cause infection in animals and plants also. Right? Because the microorganisms are present everywhere. They are present in the soil, they are present in air, they are present in water, they are present in food, they are present in our intestine, they are present on our skin. There are certain microorganisms which are opportunistic as well. Whenever our body's immunity is lowered, they will take the advantage and they will keep on multiplying and they cause the infection in the humans. And there are certain viruses which have DNA as a genetic material, and some viruses will carry RNA as a genetic material. And coming to the coronavirus, it have positive sense RNA as a genetic material. Some viruses will carry negative sense RNA. But here, as it is having a positive sense RNA, it will directly act as a mRNA and it can directly undergo the process of translation, giving rise to a protein. We all know the three steps, right? The replication, transcription and translation. In the replication, what happens? The DNA copies itself. And when the DNA undergo the process of transcription, it will give rise to mRNA, right? And this mRNA will undergo the process of translation, giving rise to a protein. Here, this coronavirus, which carries positive sense RNA, will directly act as a mRNA and it can directly undergo the process of translation, giving rise to a protein. Moreover, this disease is considered to be pandemic. We all know, right? Based on the outbreaks, these diseases are categorized as epidemic, endemic, sporadic and pandemic. And the World Health Organization has declared this disease as pandemic because we have seen outbreaks all over the world. This virus is given with the different names, like as initially its origin is in Wuhan, that is in China. People called it as Wuhan coronavirus, and some people call it as COVID-19. So there are different names. On 11th February 2020, International Committee on Taxonomy of Viruses adopted the official name as SARS-CoV-2. But the World Health Organization WHO, to avoid the confusion with the disease SARS, they sometimes refer this virus as COVID-19 virus during the public health communications. Now let's discuss about the infection and the mode of transmission. I already told you how this disease is transmitted. That is, from an infected person while speaking, coughing and sneezing, he will spread the respiratory droplets. So when that droplet nuclei are exhaled by that other person, so this virus will gain entry into the human body of a healthy person. And some studies suggest that this virus is airborne. That is, the virus spread through aerosols. And once the virus enters into the body, first it will recognize the host cell. And the host cell will have a specific receptors where the virus will come and bind over these receptors. Hope you are clear. See, this is the host cell. Okay. So host cell will have a specific receptors on the membrane. And this coronavirus will recognize those receptors because this virus will have a high affinity towards the receptors. So first it will recognize the host cell and that virus will go and bind with the receptors that are present on the cell membrane of a host cell, and it will gain entry into the cell. Then it will undergo the replication, increasing the progeny. And once the virion that comes out of the cell is ready to infect the another host cell. In this way, the infection will progress, leading to the death of a person if it is left untreated at a correct time. Coming to the structure of virus, if you observe the virus, as I already told you that this virus will have a positive sense single-stranded RNA as a genetic material, and it is surrounded by a protein shell called capsid. So here you can observe some spike proteins on the surface of a virus. So when you observe this virus under electron microscope, it resembles like a crown, and these spikes will assist the virus to go and bind with the receptors that are present on the host cell. If you carefully observe the structure of coronavirus, it is having RNA as a genetic material, and that too positive sense single-stranded RNA, as I told you just now. And moreover, it has 4 structural proteins. They are S, E, M and N. See, S stands for spike, E stands for envelope, M stands for membrane and N stands for nucleocapsid. And here the role of N structural protein is to hold the genomic RNA, whereas the other 3 spike, membrane protein and the envelope protein together create the viral envelope. When you observe this virus under the microscope, it appears like a crown. You can clearly see the spikes over the surface of this virus, and this spike is a glycoprotein that is designated with S protein, and moreover it contains 2 subunits called S1 and S2. S1 will catalyze the attachment, whereas S2 will helps in the fusion of the virus with the host membrane. I told you just now, these spike proteins will help the virus to recognize the host cell receptor, and it will go and bind with the receptors that are present on the membrane of a host cell, right? So these spike proteins will do that function of attachment, and each SARS-CoV-2 virion is about 50 to 200 nanometers in diameter with 4 structural proteins and a single-stranded RNA with positive polarity. Now let's discuss about the symptoms. These are the symptoms. Let's first discuss about the common symptoms. Common symptoms include shortness of breath, cough, fever, chills and fatigue. And coming to the less common symptoms, people who are infected with this coronavirus exhibit The less common symptoms of repeated shaking with chills, headache, muscle aches and pain. They'll have a severe body pains and loss of taste and smell, and a stiff or a runny nose, diarrhea, nausea and vomiting, and discoloration of fingers, pink eye and rash on a skin. And if we talk about the symptoms in case of severe COVID patients, they have difficulty in breathing and they will exhibit blue lips or a blue face and a persistent pain and pressure in the chest, moreover confusion and excessive drowsiness. Now let's discuss about the group of people who are at a higher risk. See, I already told you that the people who are in close contact with the infected person are at a higher risk of acquiring the infection, and moreover people who are having the other health complications like people who suffer from cancer, who suffer from chronic kidney disease and obesity, sickle cell anemia, type 2 diabetes. These people are at a higher risk, and moreover immunocompromised patients whose immune levels are very less, those persons are at a higher risk. These people need to be admitted in hospitals immediately. In order to diagnose the COVID virus, doctors suggest to go with RT-PCR, rapid test and also CT scans. So with this lab test we can easily detect whether person is infected or not. And coming to the treatment, so doctors were prescribing different antibiotics to inhibit the replication of the virus, and moreover they were suggested to take multivitamin tablets to boost the immunity, because that is very important to recover from this infection. If you have a good immunity, whenever this virus enters into our body, what our body will do, as a part of defense mechanism, antibodies will be produced. Those antibodies will take active part in killing the virus, and we are lucky that now we have vaccines too, but that will take time to reach everyone. We can say that those are the life-saving drugs. Vaccines were like a preventive measures. I always say that after we get infected and we take proper medication to recover, I always suggest you to take certain preventive measures to get rid of the infection. So you have to wear mask properly when you go out of your house, and you have to wash your hands thoroughly for at least 20 to 30 seconds, and if there is no availability of soap, you just at least rub your hands with a proper sanitizer. You are not supposed to touch your face with your hand whenever you go out of your house, and if possible take vaccines at the earliest based on the availability, because only the certain age group people were given with the vaccines right now, and it is not sure that if you take a first dose of vaccine or a second dose of vaccine that you are not going to get the infection. You have chances of getting the infection, but you will be at a safer zone if you finish both the doses of the vaccine. As a part of treatment, doctors were giving the injections of remdesivir to the hospitalized patients. This remdesivir is a adenine analog. It will block the replication of the virus. So I will explain in detail about the mode of action in my coming videos, but as of now let's move into the life cycle of coronavirus. So if you carefully observe this diagram, so this is the virus. This is the COVID virus that has entered into a human body. So the first step is it will recognize the host. So the first step here is the recognition of the host cell. So this is the host cell. Okay. So this is the secretory vesicles, endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus. Okay. So here on the host cell membrane there will be a presence of receptors called ACE2. ACE stands for angiotensin converting enzyme 2. So these are the receptors that are present on the membrane of a host cell. So after the entry of virus, it will first recognize the host cell because this virus will have a higher affinity towards the receptors. So these spike proteins will assist in binding the virus to the host cell receptor. After the binding, so to initiate the entry of this virus into the host cell cytoplasm, it can gain entry by two methods. One is by the fusion with the cell membrane, that is the virus will fuse with the cell membrane of a host and it will gain the entry, or there is another way by endocytosis. So endocytosis is a process where the molecule which is present in the external environment will gain entry into the internal environment. That is, the virus which is initially present in the surrounding of a host cell will gain entry into the cell cytoplasm by a process called endocytosis. Okay, if you observe here, so this is the virus which got embedded with the host membrane, right? So after it gains entry into the cell cytoplasm, the RNA will be released into the cell cytoplasm. I already told you the genetic material of coronavirus is positive sense single stranded RNA. So as it carries positive polarity, that is after the uncoating of the RNA virus, it can directly participate in the process of translation, giving rise to a protein. The replicase gene which is present on the RNA will undergo the translation, giving rise to a replicase polyproteins. So here you will get two polyproteins. Poly in the sense many, right? So here you can have more number of large proteins, and this large protein will be cleaved into a smaller proteins by a process called proteolysis. Lysis means breakdown, right? So by the process of proteolysis, this large protein will be broken down into a smaller proteins. So these are the replicase proteins. Okay, so after this step of proteolysis, so there will be a synthesis of negative RNA strand. Okay, here there will be a presence of ribosomes in the cell cytoplasm, right? So this virus will hijack the cell and it will use the ribosomal machinery for the synthesis of proteins here. Okay, see, after the synthesis of this replicase proteins, which will help in the process of synthesizing the negative RNA strand. So earlier the RNA is positive stranded, right? So during the process there will be a synthesis of negative RNA strand, and this negative RNA strand cannot directly participate in translation. It have to first convert into a positive strand, then it acts as a mRNA which will participate in the process of translation, giving rise to a protein. See, here in the process of replication, in order to form a new progeny, this virus should have again the genetic material RNA and all the four structural proteins. All these should be assembled together, forming a new virion, and that has to come out of the cell which will be ready to infect another new cell, right? So in this process, first after the uncoating of the RNA, it will undergo the process of translation, giving rise to a polyprotein. That large polyprotein will be cleaved into smaller proteins, and those proteins will help in the synthesis of RNA with a negative polarity. Okay, so this negative strand will act as a template here, and this negative strand is complementary to mRNA. This negative sense RNA cannot directly participate in the translation process. First it should undergo transcription, giving rise to the mRNA, and that mRNA will participate in the translation, giving rise to a structural protein, right? Synthesized negative RNA strand will undergo the process of replication, giving rise to the genomic RNA. So here the transcription process is discontinuous, where you can see a more number of subgenomic RNA fragments, each with a different size, right? So that will code for an S protein, M protein, N protein and E protein. As we already studied that the structure of coronavirus contain 4 structural proteins, right? S, M, N and E. For the assembling of a new viral particle, it should have all the 4 structural proteins and the genomic RNA. So here, by the process of replication, the more number of RNA, genomic RNA copies will be synthesized. At the same time, transcription will synthesize more number of subgenomic RNAs that code for the structural proteins S, M, N and E. After the synthesis of the subgenomic mRNAs, they will translocate to the endoplasmic reticulum, where they will again use the ribosomes for the synthesis of a protein. So you can observe here. So here they are going to translocate and then they are going to synthesize the structural proteins here. After the synthesis of the structural proteins in the endoplasmic reticulum, what happens is the next step is again translocation. That is, the accessory proteins and the structural proteins are transferred to the Golgi apparatus. Here in this Golgi apparatus, the packaging of virus will take place. That is, the RNA will be packed inside the virus particle and the outer covering is the capsid that contain the structural proteins of, and then after the step of translocation, then the next step is the maturation and the budding of the vesicle. See, you can see the virus here which got assembled and packaged. Now it's a mature virus ready to release out. And the next step is again translocation, followed by the fusion and the release. This mature virus is going to fuse again with the cell membrane and it is going to come out by the process called exocytosis. Exocytosis is a process where the molecule which is present internally will be released into the external environment. So earlier we discussed about endocytosis, where the virus which is present in the surrounding environment will gain entry into the cell cytoplasm. See, after it undergo the process of replication, transcription and the translation, what happens? When once all the viral particles are assembled together forming a mature virion, it should release out of the cell and it is going to infect another cell. So as a part of release, again it is going to fuse with the cell membrane and it will release out of the cell by exocytosis. But here remember that the cell is not lysed. So we call this process as non-lytic exocytosis. Now this newly formed virion is ready to infect another cell. In this way the viral progeny is increased with time and this newly formed virions will infect the other cells, exhibiting the symptoms and the severity of the infection. I already told you how the disease is to be diagnosed, like we can go with the RT-PCR, rapid test and CT scan. Once you confirm the presence of the virus in a human body, then you need to follow a suitable medication. So this is all about the life cycle of corona.